regardless of who it was with. Her father peered at her for a moment, as if trying to gauge her seriousness, before he laughed and patted her hand affectionately. "My dear girl," he said, "you know I only want what is best for you. But a squire? You were the eldest daughter of an earl, bred to be a titled lady. I would not be happy to see you with anyone less than you." Once again, Caroline's mind flashed to Tom. Successful, wealthy, more handsome than any man had the right to be. Less than her? He was so much more than she could handle, she literally struggled to breathe around him. Schooling her features to the nonchalance she had practiced since her childhood, she smiled serenely and tried again. "But a title does not make a man, Papa. Why, look at all the wealthy gentlemen from excellent families who do not possess a title, but certainly possess everything else you would look for in a son-in-law." Her father studied her once again, much more intently this time, making Caroline feel like he could guess what was going on in her head. His voice was sterner now, as he reiterated his refusal to settle for anything less than a peer for his eldest girl. "My dear, I am not getting any younger, and I think we can all agree that my health scare this summer has made it necessary to plan for the future." He held up his hand when she would have objected, and she was struck by how frail it appeared. "I have great hopes that your brother Charles will do a good job as Earl and look after you and your mother. But he's young and somewhat foolish right now. It will put my mind at ease to know that you are settled with someone who deserves you, someone from your own sphere, someone who can give you the lifestyle that you have been raised to." Her father talking in such a way made her feel guilty, and went a long way towards quieting her objections. Perhaps he was right. She had been raised to achieve the highest pinnacle of success, or at least the highest pinnacle available to a lady, which was an excellent marriage. The problem was, and it was a fairly big problem, she had gone and fallen in love with her future brother-in-law's cousin. Caroline glanced at her father, and was shocked once again to see how haggard he looked, how pale and worn and old. Perhaps the conversation had been too much for him, had worried him. Feeling suddenly ashamed of how selfish she was being, she resolved to do anything she could to make life easier for him, and if that included marrying a peer, well, so be it. She had smiled reassuringly at her father then, and had taken her leave to return to the dowager house that she and Rebecca had spent their summer in, lest she ruin the surprise of her family's arrival for Rebecca. And so here she stood, surrounded by music, flowers, and love, and her heart was breaking every second of it. Not that you would be able to tell by her demeanour. A lady did not show emotion in public, she reminded herself, as her icy blue eyes scanned the room. She remained poised, aloof, and her heart stopped. Actually stood still. She had not thought that really happened, though she had read of it in the Gothic novels Rebecca was so fond of, and that she, Caroline, pretended not to read. For making his way toward her was Tom. Mr. Crawdon, she corrected herself. It was time to break the tenuous connection that was forming between them. She must. For the sake of her family, for her father. She must. She could not think of him as Tom. Her Tom. She watched as he sauntered in her direction, his deep blue eyes intent on her face. Caroline briefly considered looking away so as not to encourage him, but he was so breathtakingly handsome, and she was a woman after all, with eyes, no less. It was only natural for her to look. Tom stopped in front of Caroline, and she felt